I welcome you all to my channel Happy Learning. In this video, we will see the 9th standard CBSE history lesson, section 2, chapter 4, Forest Society and Colonialism, part 2. What are we going to see? Here, I have given the complete picture of this lesson where we will see about the rise of forest communities in this video. In this topic, we will see how the forest rules during colonialism affected lives of the people, cultivation and hunting. Also, we will see what kind of new trades, new employments and new services it had brought into the forest society. Let us now see the rise of commercial forestry. British needed forests to build ships and railways. British were worried that the forest would be destroyed due to the use of forest by local people and the reckless felling of trees by traders. Hence, they invited a German expert, Dietrich Brandes, for advice and made him the first Inspector General of the forest in India. Let us now see the thought process of Brandes. Brandes thought that the proper system had to be introduced to manage the forests. People had to be trained in the science of conservation, and he thought the system would need legal sanction. And rules about the use of forest resources had to be framed. Felling of trees and grazing had to be restricted so that the forest would be preserved for timber production. And he thought anybody who cut the tree without following system had to be punished. What happened next? In 1864, Brandes set up Indian Forest Service, which helped to formulate the Indian Forest Act of 1865. This act was amended twice in the years 1878 and 1927. In 1878, this act divided the forest into three categories. They are reserved forest, protected forest and village forests. Reserved forests are the best forests. Villagers could not take anything from these forests even for own use. Lastly, villagers could take wood from protected or village forests for the house building and fuel. In 1906, Imperial Forest Research Institute was set up at Dehradun. The system that was taught here was scientific forestry. Many people now, including ecologists, feel that this system is not at all scientific. In scientific forestry, natural forests which had lots of different types of trees were cut down. In their place, one type of tree planted in straight row called plantation. Forest officials surveyed the forests, estimated the area under different types of forests, make working plans for forest management, and planned how much of the plantation ought to be cut every year. The area cut was then to be replanted so that it was ready to be cut again in some years. In this context, that is, forest rules implemented during colonialism, let us discuss the below topics. Number 1. How were the lives of people affected? Number 2. How did the forest rules affect cultivation? Number 3. Who could hunt? Number 4. What kind of new trades, new employments and new services that it had brought in? Let us now see about how were the lives of people affected. Foresters and villagers had very different ideas of what a good forest should look like. Foresters, they wanted trees which were suitable for building ships, trains. They needed trees that could provide hardwood and they wanted it to be tall and straight. Hence, teak and sal were promoted. Villagers, they wanted forests with a mixture of species to satisfy different needs like fuel, fodder and leaves. They used forest products like roots, leaves, fruits, and tubers for many things as listed below. Fruits and tubers, nutritious to eat and especially during the monsoons before the harvest has come in. Herbs used for medicine, wood used for agriculture implements like yoke and plow, bamboo used to make fencing, baskets, umbrellas, dried scooped out gourd used as portable water bottle, leaves can be stitched together to make disposable plates and cups. Sayadi creeper used to make ropes. Thorny bark of samu tree used to grate vegetables. Oils pressed from the fruit of the mehua tree used for cooking and to light lamp. Hence, the Forest Act meant severe hardship for villagers across the country. After the act, the everyday practices became illegal like cutting wood for their houses, grazing their cattle, collecting fruits and roots, hunting and fishing. People now forced to steal wood from forests, and if they were caught, they were at the mercy of the forest guards who would take bribes from them. And women who collected fuel were especially worried. Police constables and forest guards harassed people by demanding free food. Let us now see how did forest rules affect cultivation. One of the major impacts of European colonialism was on the practice of shifting cultivation, which is also called as Sweden agriculture. What is shifting cultivation? It is the traditional agriculture practice followed in many parts of Asia, Africa, and South America. It has many local names. In Southeast Asia, it is lading. In Central America, it is milpa. In Africa, it is chintamane or tavi. In Sri Lanka, it is chena. In India, it has many local names like Dia, Penda, Beaver, Nevad, Jum, Podu, Kandad, Kumri. How is shifting cultivation followed? In this shifting cultivation, parts of the forests are cut and burnt in rotation. Seeds are then sown in the ashes after the monsoon rains. And then the crop is harvested in the period of October to November. Such plots are cultivated for a couple of years and then left fallow for 12 to 18 years for the forest to grow back. A mixture of crops is grown on these plots. It could be in Central India and Africa millets, in Brazil it could be manioc, in other parts of Latin America it could be maize or beans. Why did government ban shifting cultivation? Government thought process on this type of farming was the key to ban. They thought, number 1, this practice was harmful for forests. Number 2, land which was used for cultivation could not grow trees for railway timber. Number 3, when a forest was burnt, there was the added danger of the flame spreading and burning valuable timber. Number 4, it will be harder to calculate taxes. What happened after the ban? Many families were forcibly displaced from their homes in the forest. Some had to change the occupations where some resisted through large and small rebellions. Let us now see about who could hunt. How was the hunting treated before forest law? Hunting of tigers and other animals had been part of the culture of the court and nobility for centuries. Many Mughal paintings show princes and emperors enjoying a hunt. Many people who lived in or near forests had survived by hunting deer, partridges, and variety of small animals. How was the hunting treated after the forest law? Customary practice of hunting was prohibited by the forest laws. Those who were caught hunting were now punished for poaching. Hunting of big game became a sport. Scale of hunting increased to such an extent that various species became almost extinct. British saw large animals as sign of wild, primitive and salvage society. They believed that by killing dangerous animals, the British could civilize India. They gave rewards for killing of tigers, wolves and other large animals on the ground that they posed a threat to cultivators. Statistics of animals being killed in the period from 1875 to 1925. Tigers over 80,000, leopards 150,000, wolves 200,000. Gradually, tiger was seen as a sporting trophy. Maharaja Sarguja shot of tigers 1157 and 2000 leopards up to 1957. British Administrator George Yule killed 400 tigers. Only much later, environmentalists and conservators began to argue that all the species of animals needed to be protected and not killed. Let us now see the new trades, new employments and new services that are brought in by the new forest laws. Many communities left their traditional occupations and started trading in forest products. This happened not only in India but across the world. Demand for the rubber was growing in the mid 19th century. Munduruku people of the Brazilian Amazon who lived in the villages on high ground and cultivated manioc began to collect latex from wild rubber trees for supplying to traders. Gradually, they decided to live in trading posts and became completely dependent on traders. In India, forest products trade was not new. From the medieval period onwards, we have the records like Adivasi communities trading elephants and other goods like hides, horns, silk cocoons, ivory, bamboo, spices, fibers, grasses, gums. Nomadic communities like Banjaras were trading resins. British completely regulated the trade. British government gave many large European trading firms the sole right to trade in the forest products of particular areas. Grazing and hunting by local people were restricted. All of the below communities lost their livelihoods. Pastoralist, nomadic communities like the Korava, Koracha and Yerukula of the Madras Presidency. Some of the aforementioned communities were also called as criminal tribes. They were forced to work in factories, mines and plantations under government supervision. New opportunities of work did not always mean improved well-being for the people. Below listed communities were recruited to work on the tea plantations. Their wages were low, their conditions of work were very bad. They could not even return easily to their home villages. Both the men and women from forest communities like Sandals in Assam, Warrens from Jharkhand, Gons from Chhattisgarh.